Is a cottage an investment?
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
So we're excited that we've been able to create for you free access to over 587 Life's Inside Track episodes where we share insider tips, making house home, how to grow wealth. And the great news is you can get access to them from home, from the office, or on the go. And they're on our YouTube channel. So you might want to hook into that as well. And so we're going to explore in this segment, when you're buying an investment property or you're buying a cottage, it is even more important to call somebody that I would call a strategist than any other time. It is more important to have Kelly in your corner. Call Kelly and have her in your corner. So we're going to unpack cottages a little bit, and then we'll move into investment properties, which sometimes cottages are too. So we're kind of confusing people already. Why am I doing that? So are all cottages created equal?
No, they are definitely not created equal.
Okay, so say more about that.
So it's important when you're looking to buy something, we call it second home, vacation home, cottage property. It doesn't have to be necessarily on water, but they all have different attributes, amenities, and just like when insurance is looking to put insurance on, how close are you to fire hydrants and what is your water access? So the banks want to know, number one, is it shelter, right? It always goes back to, is it shelter? And we have type A properties, we have type B properties. And type A properties are going to be your traditional home, right? Where you've got proper heating sources, you've got proper water intake, you've got proper deeded access, and all of those things are really important.
And I tend to call them lake houses.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Like we think of them as a house.
Yep.
It's a secondary house. It's a secondary dwelling. And those are A properties.
Right. And they're great because you can actually still buy a second property at 5% down. So you don't need 20% down when purchasing any. Like we've got a property in Tremblant, and if you wanted to buy something in BC or anywhere else in Canada as a vacation home, you can still buy with 5% down as long as you qualify to carry your mortgage along with that mortgage. But if you wanted to do what many people are doing, is saying, how do I offset some of the costs of that so I'm not carrying that mortgage alone, carrying the taxes alone, and the maintenance and things like that you have to keep up with? You could actually rent it out part-time. And a lot of people are doing that, where they're saying, I'm not going to use it all the time. There's going to be months I may not go. There might be weeks or weekends I may not go. And could I put it out on Airbnb, do short-term rental? Or maybe it's 6 months a year where people go to Florida for half the year and they want to rent it out. So if you're doing a rental property, you do need to cover the 20% down. If it's just a pure second home or vacation home, then we can still get away with 5% down. When we have to look at putting more than the 5% down second home, you have to look at, we go back to the water intake. Is it lake water? Has it been purified, ultraviolet? What is the deeded access? Because a lot of times in cottage properties, you may not own the access into the road. You've got maybe a deal with your neighbor, that's just said, yeah, go ahead, you can use it for years and years and years. But if there's ever a dispute with your neighbor, the bank's going to have a problem with, how do I get into that property?
Right. So access is the big piece, right? When you're talking about secondary dwellings, or I guess secondary properties, if there isn't easy access, like if it's water access only.
Yep. That's a harder
to finance, right?
Absolutely.
You're going to need more down.
Right.
And so access really matters. And I think it's one of those things that people don't care. They're totally happy because it's worked well for 50 years. And so of course it's going to be fine, but there needs to be documentation, I think is what I'm hearing you say. And it needs to be on title.
Right. And heating source is a big one too. How is the property being heated? So you have the 3-season, you have the house, and then you have where we go back to the cabin, which may be a lot more difficult. Like I said, if it's just 4 walls on a piece of land, then we're going back to that land. The land's going to have value for sure, but
you're not going to finance
but
it.
It's going to be much more difficult to get that
unless you're financing it, as you mentioned in the other segment, about against your own principal residence, or you have another source, or you're paying cash. It's more just that the banks don't see it as a place. And I love that term that you've been using. It's not shelter.
Right.
I mean, it may be shelter from the windstorm, but it's not truly a 4-wall safe, heated sewer or septic it's not service shelter.
Right.
And so then it doesn't count. We are unfortunately in the 2020s. And so we can't go back to code from, 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Different. Well, there wasn't mortgages then either. People built with the cash they had.
Yeah, absolutely. But a type B property would have to be 10% down, and not every bank's going to do them. So you have to know which bank is going to do the type A and the type B, how much money they're going to require. So that's part of working with a broker, is knowing which lenders are going to do what in terms of financing. So
right. So you're thinking, okay, I got more questions. I thought I knew a fair bit of stuff, and now I'm not. You know what? Again, let's stay connected. Let's move forward together. So just send us an email at together@dekkerteam.com. I know it's kind of confusing, but it's so easy if you just say together. Basically, we just want to do this thing together is what we're really saying. So that's all you need to do. And we will make sure we keep you updated on the market, as well as give you introductions to great people like Kelly that can help you on your buying journey, no matter what you're buying. So as we move into investment properties a little bit, I mean, I understand a cottage can be an investment property, but let's look at more conventional investments that we're not using also as a vacation place. What do I want? 4 units? Do I want 6 units? Do I want 12 units? What are the rules, the differences? Why do I care?
So it's important in the sense that when you're looking at buying any type of investment, obviously the more units, the more work, right, for the buyer. However, it's a lot easier to qualify for more units than it is to qualify for 1 to 5 units. So 1 to 5 units, you're qualifying as a residential purchaser. So we're only looking at, yes, the numbers on the building in terms of what the rent, you can use rent towards your income, but we're also looking at your income. So all of your income, any of your mortgages,
any of your debts,
all have to be included in that qualification. So it's getting harder and harder for people even just to go out buy a single rental property, right? A single family home or a condo or something of that nature. But once you hit that 6 units or 5+ units, you can actually become a commercial client. So we take your numbers out of the equation. We're still looking at you as an overall borrower.
Right. You still have to have good credit. You still have to have been paying your bills. You've still got to have it together.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're now looking solely based on that building and what the numbers are on that building. So you can get CMHC financing on that building, where on a single unit rental, you're not doing CMHC, right? You've got to put 20% down. You're doing conventional lending. But with a multi-unit, it's under, we call it commercial. Mm-hmm. When you've got multiple units, you can do 5% down, 10% down, 15% down. So there's different programs available through CMHC to be able to do less money down and work solely with the building and leave your numbers completely out of the game. So it's becoming a lot more attractive for investors because it's a way to scale quicker. Technically, it's a way to qualify easier. Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't do CMHC, we do a lot of private financing as well, where, taking older buildings and turning them over is really popular right now. So
we're doing one.
Yeah. You guys are doing a great one right now. So maybe the rents are low because the people have been there for a really long time, but it is usually reflected in the price.
It is.
Right?
It is.
So we've done a lot where somebody will take a private financing for maybe 1 to 2 years, and they'll slowly turn the building over. They'll slowly renovate it. They'll bring the values of the rent back up, and then we can take it back out with traditional financing once the building is performing a little bit better, right? To get the higher amounts back from the bank, and that's a great way to refinance. Pull capital back out, maybe and get all your money back if you do it right.
You do it right. And so the 8th wonder of the world is the compound rate of return leveraged. It doesn't get any better than that. And that's what Kelly's talking about. So we're thankful that we've been able to grow alongside you, because we are passionate about being able to build generational legacy.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward